v'tzivonu. So you learned minhag of Asin v'Yudeinu means second Yom Tov. It's not a minhag. They legislated as a regular halacha because our avos conducted themselves with itself. But what is it? It's not a minhag. It's a takana. It's a regular. It's an enactment, and that you're in violation of lo soser. So but taking the arava, that's a minhag. That was never legislated. Minhag, they said it. This is the way we conduct ourselves. It wasn't legislated as an obligation, as a takana. Same thing. No, we say it's a takana. You must keep it. Why must you keep it? Because Elvis kept 2 days. That's why you must keep 2 days. Again, it's a separate question. We keep 2 days Shavuos. Soiker Yom. What kind of Jew? A person who lives in Israel? So that's the whole story, you know. That's separate. It's a question what the rabbinic law is. Are you bound from where you come from? But that goes back. That's the regular. Are you no different than being where you are, where you come from, even though you're in Israel? Or we say no. When you're in Israel, you treat the person as if you're a citizen of that location. No, it has no relevance. No relevance. Don't mix up the Yitzhars over here. There's no relevance to it. Again, the Ran asked the question. If the reason why you don't say the bracha is because you can't say v'tzivonu, so he says, how do you say v'tzivonu when you matzah the seder the second day? That was the Ran's question on Rashi. So therefore, he says minhag avasin v'yadein doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. It means that they legislated that a person, let's say in Chutz La'aretz, has to keep a second day because our avos kept 2 days. Why did they keep 2 days? Svikar Yoma. It was a question. But it's not the structure of the rabbinic law is not minhag. It's a regular rabbinic enactment. That's the Ran. Therefore, it's lo soser. Therefore, you say v'tzivonu. That's the Ran. So it has no relevance to minhag. Although the Gemara uses the term minhag avasin v'yodeinu, it's not a minhag. Because you can't say v'tzivonu unless it's lo soser. The Torah, asher kinshanu v'tzivonu. The Torah says we're bound to follow what they dictate. Where did they dictate? They never dictated. The answer is they did dictate. It was enacted by the Chachamim. So it was a regular enactment. But it says minhag. It means because our avos conduct themselves a certain way, therefore they enacted this law. Has nothing to do with minhag. That's the way the Ran interprets the Gemara. Now you're asking a new question. Now there's a question how to understand the Gemara. Not this Gemara, another Gemara, Gemara Pesachim. It says if you're visiting another community, by what laws are you bound? That's a separate discussion now. So the way it seems to be, the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramon, says if you come from outside Eretz Yisrael, you have to conduct yourself as if you're from outside Eretz Yisrael. You're bound to, unless you choose to move. If you choose to become a member of the community of Eretz Yisrael, then you're a member of the community there. You conduct yourself as if you live in Israel. But if not, you're bound to where you come from, which means you have to keep 2 days. And that is the simple understanding. This other position, you really have to twist it to be able to come out that whatever it is, that you only keep 1 day, despite what the Gemara says and despite what the Shulchan Aruch says, that you have to keep 2 days. Like I told you, 25 years ago, nobody kept 1 day in Eretz Yisrael, 25 years ago. Every Jew that came from America to Israel, even if they stayed in the King David, they kept 2 days Yom Tov. You understand? There were a number of people who were on people's backs. It started with Rabbi Gorin. If a Jew kept 2 days, he was on his case and he didn't let him go. He says, you must keep only 1 day. And it's a tremendous, tremendous leniency. Because it's a minority opinion, a minority of a minority opinion that holds this way. That's where it started from. And gradually, people who kept initially 2 days, 2 Sidorim, they kept 1 Seder. And it went, and then that became the, if you have a certain identity as a Jew, you keep 1 day, not 2 days. If you have that kind of identity. So there was something to Raisa.
Came to Israel. You were over like a and you would
No, 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 because in Chutz La'aretz you still had to keep 2 days. Eretz Yisrael, because they're the same story, because you're bound to where you come from. No, it doesn't make a difference. I understand that. It doesn't make a difference. But you have to look at yourself as if you're there. That has no born. Nothing with born. It's where you live. Where you live. Do you live in Israel? Do you live in Chutz La'aretz? That's what the Gemara says. It says if you go from a location where they fast to a location where they're not fasting, you have to fast. If you Erev Pesach, your community doesn't do malacha, you go to a community which does malacha. You're not permitted to do malacha. But you're not in your makom any longer. You're somewhere else. Okay, I'm not getting there. I'm just saying this discussion which David is bringing up right now. Chutz La'aretz was a svek initially. No, never. Rosh Hashanah wasn't based on the Svek of the Yoma. No. Only Chutz La'aretz. Okay, let's get back to the Gemara. So again, we have a number of opinions. We had earlier, Reb Shimi Choy says that what? That Orlo, Kilayim, and Chodosh are all Doraisa. Our Mishnah says, the Tanna Kama says, Orlo, Kilayim is Doraisa, Chodosh is not Doraisa in Chutz La'aretz, even rabbinically, not Chutz La'aretz. Rebbe Lezer says, not only Kilayim, Orlo and Kilayim, even Chodosh. Reb Shimi, all three. All three, correct. Okay? Then we have Rebbe Lozer, Reb Shimon says no. That Kilayim, Orlo, in Chutz La'aretz, and Chodesh, all rabbinical. They're all rabbinical. The only thing which is a Doraisa, he says, Shmitas Ksofim and Shluch Avodim. Okay? So now we're quoting over here. We're holding in the Mishnah. Tanan Hosam. Just get back into this. HaChodosh Osam in HaTorah. The Mishnah says in Orlo, Chodesh is not permitted on a Torah level, even in Chutz La'aretz. B'chol Mokum. Wherever you may be. Because what is the meaning of Moshvasechem? Moshvasechem means your communities. Orlo Halocha. Kalayim Midivri Sofrim. Right? Rabbinically. Kalayim is rabbinical in Chutz La'aretz. My halacha, what is the meaning of halacha? Omre Yehuda Mishmuel, Hilchsa Medina. Meaning, it's rabbinical. It's rabbinical. Ula Rabbi Yochanan, Ula says name Rabbi Yochanan. How does he interpret the Mishnah which says Orlas halacha? Halacha Moshe Sinai. It was ordained at Sinai that Orla is not limited to Eretz Yisrael, although it's mitzvahs atluis v'oretz, it's agricultural. It's on a Torah level, even in Chutz La'aretz. What's the basis for it? Halacha Moshe Sinai. Okay? Omalei Ula de Rabbi Yehuda. So Ula says to Rabbi Yehuda, who quotes Shmuel, that it's only rabbinical Orla. The word halacha means the way they conducted themselves, meaning they instituted a minhag to conduct themselves as if it is forbidden, but it's not. Bishlom Lididi, she says, according to the way I'm quoting Rabbi Yochanan, that's halacha l'mishbi Sinai. According to myself, damina halacha l'mishbi Sinai. Hainu d'shana lebin sofik orlo d'sofik kilayim. We make a differentiation between if something's questioned whether it's the produce of orlo, or it's a question whether it's the produce of kilayim. If a person would plant grain within a vineyard, and it's not clear whether this grain was planted in the proximity of the vineyard or not, we differentiate between Sofik Orlo and Sofik Kilayim. We'll see in a moment what the difference is. I mean, there's a question, we normally see Sofik Doraisa L'Chumra. And the Gemara on the next page is going to ask, if you're according to Rabbi Yochanan, that halacha means halacha l'mishmi Sinai. The Orlo is a Doraisa. So whenever you have a question regarding a Doraisa, what do we say? Sofik Doraisa L'Chumra. But yet, we're going to quote a Mishnah. The Mishnah says Sofik Orlo, in Chutz La'aretz, it's mutter on a Torah level, even rabbinical. in certain instances. But if it's a doraisa, how could you tell me Sof Doraisa L'Kula? It should be L'Chumra, correct? So the Gemara is going to answer on the next page that that's the Halacha M'Shabbos, that although normally you say Sof Doraisa L'Chumra, in regard to Orla, the Halacha M'Shabbos says, but if it's a question, it's L'Kula. It's not L'Chumra. That's part of the Halacha M'Shabbos. The Halacha M'Shabbos is it's only Vadai v'lo Sofik. If it's definitely Orla, but if it's questionable, if it's Orla, the Torah says you're lenient. Okay? I mean, seemingly, that's what the Gemara is going to say. And we rule. We rule like Rabbi Yochanan, that Orla in Chutz La'aretz is Doraisa. But it's a Sofek, it's only, we go L'Kula. Right? That's the way we rule. That the Halacha is you go L'Kula. So the question is, this is the question. If, according to Rambam, that every Sofek Doraisa is L'Kula, Sofek Doraisa is L'Kula, it's only L'Chumra D'Rabbanan. We're only machmir on a rabbinic level, but on a Torah level, the Torah says by every Sofek Doraisa you go L'Kula. So what do I need? A Halacha M'Shabbos that you're lenient in a context of Sofek. Every Sofek Doraisa is L'Kula. According to Rambam. Rambam's of the opinion is always L'Kula. Except, so why we machmir? Why do we differentiate between the D'Rabbanan and Doraisa? It's rabbinical. If it's rooted in a rabbinic law, in a context of Sofek, we'll make them. But if it's a Doraisa, although on a Torah level you're permitted to be lenient, rabbinically they say you should be machmir. But when this halacha M'Shabbos, what do I need a halacha M'Shabbos? They can say what they want. I don't need. Here we're saying the halacha M'Shabbos says specifically that that you're lenient. What do I need halacha M'Shabbos to tell you should be lenient? Every Doraisa you're lenient. That seems it's difficult, right? So how do we understand it? This we once discussed this. We rule halacha Sofek Doraisa L'Chumra, whether it's L'Chumra b'Doraisa L'Chumra or it's Midrabanan L'Chumra, right? Depends if you hold like the Ram, the other Rishonim. But everybody agrees if you have a Svek Sveka. If you have a double Sofek, Svek Sveka is L'Kula, right? So there's a famous, so what's the reason? So there's a famous Rashba. The Rashba says in Ksubis, because we have a principle, Acharab Lahatos. The Torah says whenever you're in doubt and you have an irresolvable question, you always follow majority. So let's say the way you present the question, the majority, the way you evaluate it, the probability is that it's probably permitted. Because you have 2 to 1 telling me it's probably okay. I'll give you the example, which is not the classic case of Svek Sveka. Because we rule with Machmir, but again, because it's Dav Sheish Matirin. It says if you have a Sofek Beishan Older Yom Tov, you have an egg that was laid on Yom Tov, it's questionable. It may have been laid before Yom Tov, on Yom Tov. And it falls into 1,000 other eggs. Right? So the Mishnah says, the Brisa says, you're not permitted to eat it. Let's say I take an egg out of that. So that it's a Svek Sveka, correct? It's a double Sofek. I have a Sofek. Firstly, is this the egg that fell in? It may have been one of the 1,000 other eggs. And even if it is the egg that fell in, it may have been laid before Yom Tov. Right? So how many sides would permit it, and how many sides would say it's not permitted? It's a 2 to 1. Right? It's a 2 to 1, so the probability is it's probably permitted. Right? So the Rashba says that's the principle of Achrab, that's the principle of Svek Sveka. Achrab Natos, you always go after the majority. So since based on the evaluation, the way you evaluate it, you have a 2 to 1 saying it's permitted, therefore it's permitted. Okay? That's Svek Sveka. Okay? The Pnei Yeshua says in the Rambam, normally I say Sofek Doraisa is L'Kula. It's L'Chumra b'Drabanan. But let's say I have a double Sofek. So now I have a Sofek on the rabbinic law. The only reason why I'm machmir by Sofek Doraisa is because rabbinically you should be machmir. But what about now I have a Sofek in the rabbinic law? Does the rabbinic law apply? That's a Sofek Drabanan. So that's Sofek Drabanan L'Kula. Okay, that's the way the Pnei Yeshua explains the Rambam's position on why Svek, because when it's Svek Sveka, it's not a Torah law, it's a rabbinic law. Because the only reason why I'm machmir is because Sofek Doraisa L'Chumra, rabbinically L'Chumra. So now I have a Sofek, is this a Sofek Doraisa? So that means I have a Sofek, it's a Sofek Drabanan. Right? Should I be machmir Drabanan or not? If you have a Sofek, should you be machmir Drabanan or not? Sofek Drabanan L'Kula. That's how the Pnei Yeshua explains the Rambam. Right? But getting back to this, but how do we understand this? What do I need? Halacha Mishum Sinai, that Safik or L'chutz Loretz is permitted. Every Safik, the rice is L'kula. So seemingly what you have to say is this, that we always discuss this Taz, which is really, the Rishonim say it, that if the Torah says explicitly something's permitted, rabbinically they can't prohibit it. They're not empowered to be machmir. Correct? They're not empowered to be machmir. For instance, we discuss, let's say Chazal, we say that if Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, or Purim falls out on Shabbos, what's the halacha? You don't take the lulav, you don't blow the shofar, you don't read the Megillah. Right? Tezvah falls out on Shabbos. Why? Because there's a concern you may transport it. You may transport the shofar, the lulav, or the Megillah. Okay, good. So Tosfos asks, but if a child is born on Shabbos, right? You circumcise the child on Shabbos. We rule halacha that machshirei milah nadocha Shabbos. What supersedes the Shabbos? Only the act of circumcision itself. But what facilitates it, let's say bringing the knife or making the knife, that doesn't supersede the Shabbos. So let's be concerned. Maybe the moel is not really adept or sufficiently trained. He may take the knife because he has an obligation to circumcise the child, which is a Shabbos bris. He may transport a dalam shusar rabin. So just as we suspend the mitzvah of lulav and shofar, although it's a Torah obligation, they should suspend the mitzvah of milah when the child is born on Shabbos. That's Tosfos' question. Okay? So Tosfos answers that when it comes to milah, the only one who would do the procedure is an expert. A novice, nobody's going to allow a novice to do milah. So therefore, there's no concern that he may transport the ismol, the scalpel, to bring it to the child, to be taught how to do the procedure itself. Because the only one who's involved in that area is only the expert. That's Tosfos. The Meiri says something else. He says, since the Torah says explicitly, based on an extra word, it says, biyom hashmini, biyom afilu b'Shabbos. Whenever the Torah says explicitly that the child is born on Shabbos, he has to be circumcised on Shabbos, the Torah understands that there are concerns. The Torah says, don't be concerned. When the Torah says something is explicitly permitted, the Chachomim are not empowered because of offense to interfere with that, what the Torah dictates. That's the Meiri's answer. So since Torah says, if the Torah says V'yom Shmini on the 8th day, and it happens to come out on Shabbos, we're concerned, that would be like shofar and lulav. And you don't. But here Torah says, we want you to circumcise the child on Shabbos. Torah says it explicitly. So, and the Torah is aware that there's a concern you may transport. And despite that, it still says it. They're not empowered to create offense to prevent that mitzvah from taking place. In the principle. In the principle. Maybe you would agree. Yeah, an extra word, biyom. Right, you're right. He doesn't have to come on to that. There's a Tosfos in Bava Mitzvah which indicates he concurs with the Meiri, says it regarding something else. But in regard to the question, is not a question. You know, it's true. But we don't have to come on to establish profound principles. It's a simple, the question doesn't start. It's not really a reality because unless he's an expert, he's not doing the milah. That concerns.
For this type of thing, it did not include the body.
Because there's no concern. The whole issue, there's a concern.
That was part of the original legislation, according to Tosfos?
No, they spoke about each thing individually. They spoke about the lulav, they spoke about the shofar, they spoke about the Megillah. They identified they delineated each situation where I'm concerned. They never spoke about milah. So that's why did they speak about milah? The answer is they were never concerned about me. There was never a concern there. That's Tosfos' answer. The others, there is a concern.
This principle that he brings down, it's only when it's explicit, like by Yom in this case.
Yes.
But if the Torah says, let's say, if you become a ger, you can marry your sister.
That's a separate. That's not an obligation.
I see.
Yeah, those are provisions.
Meaning obligation.
There's no obligation. Torah doesn't say you must marry your sister.
But fences they can do on things that are permitted.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I want to say is over here, if the Torah wouldn't have said, if we say Sofik Orla, let's say it says Orla is not permitted. The Raisa. Orla Chutz Loretz Halacha B'Sinai. And I have a Sofik. And we say Sofik Drabonon is Sofik the Raisa L'Kula L'Chum Drabonon. I would say that. But if Torah says the Halacha B'Sinai is Sofik Orla is permitted, so if Torah says explicit, it's permitted. That means even the Rambam would agree. Although normally I say Sofik the Raisa is L'Chum Drabonon, I'm stringent on a rabbinic level. In regard to Orla, they couldn't say it. Because the Torah says explicitly that Sofik Orla Chutz Loretz is permitted. Then they were never empowered to interfere with that area. That's what the Gemara says. That's the Gemara's question. Why is Sofik Orla permitted? We should say Sofik Dorais L'Chumra. That's going to be the Gemara's question. So Gemara's answer is, because the Halacha Mishini is, Sofik Orla is permitted in Chutz Loretz. No, there is an argument. That's the way we rule the Halacha. That's Rabbi Yochanan.
Because it's explicit not even in the text, but in the Masorah, even that is enough that they're not going to come and make
The Torah said explicitly, Sofik is permitted. What difference if it's text or the Torah, or God said it at Sinai, where it's not text related? It's explicit.
In the history of fences, let's just say that the Torah, we understand that the Torah says Sofik L'Raisa L'Kula, but that's what the Torah has in mind. When did the Chazal start enacting fences? I thought that it was several centuries later. It wasn't immediate that they enacted these fences. It was over time.
Okay.
So let's suppose that in the generation of Moses and Joshua, they didn't enact fences.
But you're not answering the question. My question was, let's say according to Rambam, Sofik the Rice is L'Kula, correct? So if that is the case, what is that based upon? If you have a question of piece of meat, is it kosher or not kosher? Sofik the Rice is L'Kula. You're permitted to eat the meat. Okay? I have a question. Is this fruit of one from the first three yields or not? It's no different than a piece of meat, whether it's kosher or not. So why do I need an explicit halacha Sinai that it's permitted? Why is it different than the piece of meat? That was my question. So the answer is, because the Torah is saying in advance, this area, the Chazal never are empowered to create fences. That's what the Torah is actually saying. Regarding the meat, they could create a fence there, if they choose to. Regarding Orla, they're not empowered to create the fence. Of course, everything. I mean, according to that, according to the Miri, what the Miri answered regarding Milah, that they're not empowered, even though there is a concern, they're not empowered to tamper with that area, to interfere. The child that's born on Shabbos, regardless of concerns, Torah says, don't be concerned, just do it. You just have to be more careful, that's all.
We've learned that the Chazal have very broad power to enact the We've learned that concept.
But here the Torah says explicitly not. Here the Torah says, they say not. They cannot do it. That's what we're saying. Okay, so therefore what? No, fence. We're talking about a fence, the principle of a fence. No, here it's being passive. It's being passive. We're saying the Torah says you're permitted to eat Orla in Chutz Loretz if it's a question. Definitely Orla you're not. Questionable Orla you're permitted. What's the Torah introducing that I don't know? Okay, so we're answering. Because Torah says it's permitted under any circumstance. Therefore, they cannot make a fence there. They're not empowered to create a fence for whatever reason. Okay. So Ula says to Rabbi Yehuda, according to my understanding, I am quoting Rabbi Yochanan, therefore we differentiate, we'll quote a Mishnah in a moment, between Sofik Orla Chutz Loretz and Sofik Kalayim Chutz Loretz. Did none? Sofik Orla Boretz Osir. If you have Orla in Eretz Yisrael, it's a Sofik. Is it the produce of the first 3 years or not? You have to be Machmir Osir. B'Surya Mutter. But in Surya, Rashi says Aram Tzova, this is Aleppo. part of Syria, which is not far from Eretz Yisrael. We'll see Rashi in a moment. It's permitted, because factually it's Chutz La'aretz. B'Chutz La'aretz Yori v'Lokeach. Ubelvachli Ran locate. That's the Rashi. Now what's Surya? So Rashi says Surya, he Aram Tzova. Surya is Aram Tzova. You ever take a look in the Sidurim, the Sephardi Sidurim, that go according to Minig Aleppo. It says in the Siddur, it's Aram Tzova. It's printed in the Siddur Aram Tzova. Okay? Because the different Minhagim, Damascus and Aleppo, they come from. He Aram Tzova, Shekovash David, the Sinfo in Eretz Yisrael. This discussion in Gittin, David went and he conquered Aram Tzova. So there's a discussion, is Kibush Yochid Shmei Kibush or Lo Shmei Kibush? So there's a question, why exactly wasn't it a valid acquisition? It wasn't a valid, no, it has nothing to do with voluntary, nothing. Well, it has nothing to do with commanded or not commanded. It has nothing to do with this. So the way Rashi learns, he went and he conquered Aram Tzova. We rule Allah, Kibush Yochid Lo Shmei Kibush. Right? It wasn't a valid conquest. So it didn't become part of it. So why? So Rashi says that because the area around Yerushalayim, it was part of the Yevusi. Yevusi were around Yerushalayim. That area wasn't conquered. So Hashem, so the Nabi says, what are you going to conquer in Syria? You haven't yet conquered Israel proper. Therefore, it's not a kibush. Others say he didn't consult with Sanhedrin. He went on his own. He did it. But that was his private conquest. Because it was a personal conquest, Lo Shmei Kibush, it doesn't assume the halacha of Eretz Yisrael. Factually, it's not Eretz Yisrael, but it's our backyard. It's right there. So because of its proximity to Eretz Yisrael, there's certain rabbinic stringencies that you must conduct yourself when you're there differently than if you're in Chutz La'aretz, which is clearly fully removed from Eretz Yisrael, where a person will not confuse that location with Eretz Yisrael. So he says like this, Hilkoch Sveiko Muter. Therefore, Sufik is permitted. Sufik Orla and Aram Tzova in Syria is permitted. Kama Porich Parchino, the Gemara in Lametes, which I mentioned. If actually Orla is Halach Mishina in Chutz La'aretz, Hech Mekel Besveiko, so we say Sufik Derais L'Chumra. So how does the Mishnah say that what Sufik Orla in Syria is permitted? Umishanin Ema Kach Nemra Halacha Sveiko Muter B'Chutz La'aretz V'Ado Oser. The Halacha Mishmishina is that if it's definite Orla, it's forbidden on a Torah level. If it's a Sufik, it's permitted. That is the Halacha Mishmishina itself. Okay?
But why do we need this Surya for that?
No. That's simple. We're saying in Surya, Sufik is permitted. But we're going to differentiate Surya and Chutz La'aretz. Chutz La'aretz means further away. That's the next Rashi. Chutz La'aretz, the Rochik Tvei, what about it's outside Eretz Yisrael, which is beyond? It's not in the proximity of the boundary of Eretz Yisrael. V'lo michlefs, people will not confuse the two. Surya, people can confuse it. If you permit certain things in Surya, they'll permit it in Eretz Yisrael. But if it's Chutz La'aretz, which is far removed from Eretz Yisrael, what people understand, that has no relevance to Eretz Yisrael. They're not going to confuse it. Therefore, you could be even more lenient in Chutz La'aretz. What's the difference between Surya and Chutz La'aretz? So let's get back to the Mishnah. B'Chutz La'aretz, Yored v'Lokeach, Ubavach l'Yiren locate. Yored Rashi, Yisrael, v'Lokech min Ovid Kochov v'Locate mi Pardes, Sheish bo Nitius Yaldos u'Zkenos. You have new saplings, you have old trees. So the produce of the old trees is definitely not Orla. The produce of the saplings, the new trees, are Orla. We're not sure which tree did the guy pick the Orla from, the fruit. Did he pick it from the young trees or the old trees? If it's the young trees, it's Orla. If it's the old trees, not, so you have a suffix. So we say, V'Yisrael Yodeh Shu Nechnas Shom V'Locate Lechatchila. The goy goes in. See, the case we say Surya is permitted, a goy is selling fruit outside of his grove, of his orchard. It's outside of his orchard. Even though you know it's possible that this fruit may be of the new trees, of the new saplings. Doesn't make a difference. You're permitted. You're not sure. You're not sure where it is. No. You don't have to ask him anything. No presumption. Savij Rabbanon L'Kula. Surya's Chutzlar, Savij Rabbanon L'Kula. What about to go into the grove? Let's say the guy himself is in there. You know, like people go pick apples. You go into the orchard to purchase, and you say, "Get me some fruit." And the guy himself is going to pick fruit for you. He's going to pick fruit. If it's Chutzlar, it's not a problem. As long as the Jew doesn't tell him to go pick from over there. So he's in the orchard, he's picking it. You don't see from where he's picking it. You see him picking from the sapling, it's a problem. Then you know for that definitely what he's giving you.
Are you watching him pick fruit from trees?
No.
One is that he has a roadside stand and he's selling fruit. The other is he's in the orchard.
Right. He knows he's going there to pick fruit on his behalf. He knows. It's not a problem. It's not Surya, it's a roadside stand. Although the source of his produce is the orchard, and there are different types of trees in the orchard, you don't have to be concerned. But to go in the orchard, if you're in Surya, where he's going to go pick, even though you're not going to see from which one he picks, in Surya or Machmir. Because we say Chutzlor is Yored Velocate. Chutzlor means further away from Eretz Yisrael, beyond Aleppo, beyond Syria. Okay? Wait a second. Ubavachlo Yireno locate. 1 second. Rashi, Yisrael should locate Mina Orlo. As long as he doesn't see from which trees he's picking. He's in the orchard, but he doesn't. If he sees he's picking from the sapling, the new saplings, it's Orlo. You know, but he's in there. You know, it looks like there's a real bona fide suffix. You know, by the roadside stands, you can say, you know something.
I don't know.
Maybe this is he has the produce from elsewhere, but here it's clear this comes from this orchard. This is a bona fide suffix. Chutzlor would not be concerned. You're not going to confuse this with Eretz Yisrael because this is beyond the boundaries, way beyond. There's no confusion here. The Tanya Leil, B'suri Mutar Shenilkat Kvar. If it already was picked, the roadside stand, he doesn't say to the guy, go into your orchard and go pick on my behalf. If it's Chutzlaretz, he can say, go into your orchard, pick me some fruit. Even though, you know, factually, he may pick from the saplings, you don't have to be concerned. You don't have to tell him, make sure it's the old trees, not the new trees. Surya, it's only the fruit that already was picked. You're permitted to purchase that fruit from him. Okay? So that's regarding Orlo. What about Kloya Kerem? V'yilukabi Klayim, Tanan Kerem Adatu Yerek. V'yerek Nimkar Chutzlo. Boratz Osir. You have a question, Kile Kloya Kerem. Something is planted within the proximity of a vineyard. And if it's in Eretz Yisrael, this is what? You're not permitted to benefit from it, okay? So even if it's the roadside stand, in Eretz Yisrael, Osir. B'Surya Mutter. Wait. No. Eretz Yisrael for sure. Wait, we're talking about Eretz Yisrael. Wait 1 second. Nibkar b'chutzalo, b'oretz osir b'Surya Mutter. Surya is permitted, which is okay so far. B'chutzlo it's yored v'locate. Ubavachlo yukot b'yad. Yeah, when it's what's being about over here. Yerek Nimkalov Yeshloch Hashem Miyerek Godel. He goes in there, he picks on his behalf. It's not. We're not talking about the roadside stand. He goes in and picks on the Chover's behalf, right? Ubavachlo Yilko, but the Chover himself should not go pick himself. Should not pick himself. Shalika Biyad. So we find that the Mishnah differentiates between Orlo and Kloya Kerem regarding Surya and wait 1 second. No, more cooler or more lenient. Orlo. Right? So why are we more machmir in regard to Orlo? So evidently, if you're of the opinion that it's orlo and chutz la'aretz is doraisa, so that's why I'm more machmir in a case of a suffix, right? Because, but if and Kloin Kerem, which its origin, the basis is totally rabbinical, therefore I don't differentiate. Therefore I'm lenient. That's why I don't differentiate whether it's Surya or anything else. We will continue tomorrow. Kaddish.